Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our first guest is no stranger to the show. Milwaukee County Executive Chris Abele took the oath to become county executive back in 2011, succeeding Scott Walker. The county executive is here to discuss the county's Office on African American Affairs and a few other things that have grabbed the headlines lately. It is my pleasure to welcome back to Our Issues Milwaukee County Executive Chris Abele. How are you?
I'm good. Great to be back.
It's always a pleasure. And the last time you were here, we discussed your $1.1 billion spending plan for 2017. Right. That included a wheel tax.
It did.
And back in November, the county board actually approved a $30 vehicle registration fee for vehicle owners to start paying this year. You had asked for $60. So let's talk about how you feel about that outcome.
Sure. Well, as I said before, the reason we initially put $60 for a wheel tax in the budget isn't because I like the idea of a wheel tax. Honestly, I don't. But we have an issue at the county that the city has and most municipalities has, which is that the revenue we get, and our biggest source is the state, has been going down. And relatively speaking, I mean, dollar adjusted, way down. So we as the county will get maybe a couple million more from the state, but our expenses are going to go up in excess of $20 million. So if we don't have some kind of revenue, and again, a wheel tax is the only tool we've got, we have to cut services which are truly important to the most vulnerable people in the community. And we've worked really hard for 6 years to be restoring those services. So I just don't want to see us slip back. $30, which is what passed, is obviously it's better than nothing. But I think the reason you saw the independently elected comptroller, you saw the head of the Public Policy Forum, the MMAC, and AFSCME, all these groups testifying to the board on doing the full 60, it's to avoid having to still make cuts, because we still are going to have a big hole, and we're working on it now to address it. But, I mean, I've been dealing with challenges for most of the years I've been at the county, so we'll figure it out.
All right. The board also approved a budget amendment that changes the existing free bus fare Go Pass program for the disabled and residents 65 and over. And beginning this year, there's a $5 fee that'll be charged for Go Pass applications. So these are just a few of the things that have been approved that people need to know about. And the $30 county vehicle registration fee, it's going to generate nearly $13.5 million this year. Those funds would be divided with $11.5 million going to bus transit operating costs, $2 million to be spent on major transportation projects, including bus replacements, bridge and road repairs, as well as the development of a bus rapid transit service between downtown Milwaukee and the medical center in Wauwatosa. So, like I said,
a lot of projects.
It's a lot of things going on, but you're like saying $30 is better than nothing, and this is where it's going to actually help make a difference.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so what brings you here today, as I mentioned, is Milwaukee County's new Office on African American Affairs. Talk about the purpose of this office.
Sure. Well, it's interesting because when we've had these discussions, an Office on African American Affairs, if you put together a list of everything that, every problem and challenge we needed to address, it'd be a real long list. The idea with the office is this. First, to help coordinate everything we do at the county. We've got 41 business lines, and a lot of them, even ones you might not think of, interact with different parts of the community. So what we've already been doing is, all right, let's look which departments and divisions have an impact on the African American community. Where are there services that are appropriate? Where are ones that we can add to? We can reallocate, we can change the way we're doing. We can coordinate a lot more. We've focused so far on job training and job readiness. We have 8 different departments and divisions that do some kind of job training. We've added quite a bit to the capacity there, and we're going to keep doing that. But we've been focusing programs and new programs that we've added specifically on empowering the parts of the African American community that need it the most. So we've got a program called Uplift Milwaukee, which has had a ton of success. Average starting jobs of over $15 an hour, which is a great place to start.
Absolutely.
And we've been partnering with Employ Milwaukee on that. We're going to scale that up. Our child support services are focusing a whole new effort specifically in 53206, and it's about adding more services. We're continuing to add job services through basically every department we have that interacts with people, which is quite a few. And then one of the programs that we're really excited about is this Opportunity Knocks program, which again comes out of the Office of African American Affairs. The idea here is it's sort of similar to something that the city's done. Like the city, we have a lot of foreclosures.
Right.
And so when we've been doing everything we can through universal screening and community prosecutors to try and keep people out of the criminal justice system, because obviously what's one of the big targets for the Office of African American Affairs, lower Wisconsin from being the highest rate of incarcerated African Americans in the country.
Absolutely.
To not just below average. I mean, eventually our thinking is what has to happen to be the lowest. So we do everything we can to keep people out of the criminal justice system. Then but if there are people who are in the criminal justice system, everything we can to empower them. So GEDs, job certifications, resume, interview training, insurance enrollment, and in this program, inmates who are qualified help do the work to rehab houses that we have that are foreclosed. So it saves money for us on the renovation cost. They're learning skills while they do it. They earn days off their sentence for every day that they're there. And then the foreclosed house, we try to get to sell to first-time owners. So if you're in the neighborhood, you're happier because instead of a falling apart house, you've got a rehabbed house. You get an owner-owned house as opposed to a rented house. And if you want to stabilize neighborhoods, owner-owned houses are the way to do it. And then the revenue from the sold house goes back into training, basically paying for the cost of the program. And that detail is something I'm excited about, because typically the people who are critical of this sort of program, they'll say, hey, how many of my tax dollars is this costing? And here I can say, well, in addition to lowering recidivism, helping out property values, and making the neighborhood happy, none. It's saving tax dollars. It just also happens to be helping people. Well, and a lot more people are happy about it. And that's the sort of work we want to expand on.
So it is interesting that you mentioned two initiatives, the Opportunity Knocks program and Uplift MKE. Those are in place, but you don't necessarily have a staff in place yet. You are actively looking for a director.
Right.
So with that said, what are some of the things you're looking for to fill those shoes, and when will the office be fully staffed, up and running?
So right now there's a budget for 4 staff. We have 1 position filled, a grant writer, and part of the reason there is the county, in the past anyway, wasn't as aggressive as it should be about going after outside funds, federal grants, foundations, et cetera. And this will be dedicated entirely to the Office of African American Affairs. We are close to a community relations position, but the big one, as you mentioned, is director. And what we're doing right now is, because we've had resumes and we've had the job posted, part of the issue is that it's a big position, and it's not immediately clear, okay, what exactly is the role going to be? And then part of the issue is also, I spent a lot of time and probably had, 60, 80 meetings with folks in the community, and continue to do this, asking, hey, what do you think is important? I mean, the African American community, from the business community, the nonprofit, the religious community, and of course you get a big range of opinions, but here's what we're looking for. The success we've had at the county is when we've brought in people who are passionate about what they do and driven by it. People who wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night on fire for how am I going to move the ball forward. I was just telling a friend, our new aging director, Holly Davis, who's just kind of a coup, I feel like, is fantastic. But, 2 weeks in after we hired her, she sent me an email just saying, I just want to let you know I'm going to make you very proud that you brought me on board. And I've got departments around the county that are setting records, winning national awards, but the way I've gotten there is by, working hard to get those people who are passionate about what they do.
I agree. And I don't want us to run out of time, but there is a website where people can go to find out more about the position that you have open, and that would be county.milwaukee.gov/ OAAA.
That's it.
Okay,
It's a little clunky, but
yeah, well, we definitely go there just to get more details. See if you really do qualify to help make a difference with what you're doing. Now, and it's my understanding that you've hired Ralph Holman, who recently retired from the Milwaukee Urban League, to actually put together a group of individuals from around the Milwaukee area to kind of better figure out, what needs to happen, what they'd like to see happen, all of those things. I think that's a good move.
It's been great. Ralph is a longtime friend, and just personally, I've been a supporter of his work at the Urban League, where he's just done extraordinary work. And you're right, just recently retired. And Ralph is one of a number of people who are essentially on a transition committee. They're all people who have long experience and passion for the African American community. And actually, Ralph, we didn't hire him. Ralph specifically said, I won't let you pay. I want to help. This matters to me. But what they're doing is helping us think through both, the director, but also when we have a director to be able to say, hey, you need help, you need our advice, say the word, we'll back you up. And they've just been fantastic about it.
Would you be more interested in having someone who's already been here in Milwaukee to kind of better understand what's been going on here, some of the main things that are of concern, or would you be looking outside of the area as well for somebody maybe who's got experience in dealing with these type of things?
It's a good question. We've looked at, when we were thinking about this, the Office of African American Affairs or things like it in a lot of different cities and states around the country, because a lot of places are looking at this, and they all have sort of different models and approaches, and we were just sort of looking for good ideas. My inclination has been somebody who knows and understands the issues that are unique to Milwaukee, because as Tip O'Neill said years ago, all politics are local, and the more you travel, the more you realize there's a lot of things that are sort of similar, but there's a lot of things that are really specific to Milwaukee. And that's also something I heard a lot, the feedback we've gotten in both the public hearings and the meetings I've had looking for input.
Keep it local.
Somebody who knows
someone
Milwaukee,
who's
knows
built
us.
those relationships and can really just make a quick phone call and say, hey, this is what I need you to do. So I understand that, and I thank you so much for giving all of that information. Keep us abreast of everything that's going on.
Got it.
As we wrap up, the Packers recently suffered a tough loss against the Falcons in the NFC Championship, and you made a friendly wager with Fulton County Chairman John Eves. Have you paid up yet?
We are sending John Eves a case of Schlitz and a case of Usinger sausage. I was really looking forward to some peach cobbler, which is what he was going to send. But it's a friendly thing. It was a tough game. At least I got some Texas barbecue from the previous week's game when I made a bet with my friend in Dallas.
Well, you know what they say, there's always next year, so we'll just see what happens then. And talking about football, of course, Sheriff David Clarke has made the headlines quite a bit lately, and you two got into a Twitter war, so to speak, over him being dressed in Cowboys gear on that plane, which turned into a whole nother issue with a passenger on that plane. Real quick, I really would like to know your thoughts on the facts that have been presented, not the alternative facts, but the true facts, that have been presented on what happened there. What are your thoughts on 6 sheriff's deputies and 2 canines being used for something that appeared to be really nothing? Everybody's given an opinion in America, so if someone wants to say, are you the county executive? You say yes, and I shake my head like, whatever.
You're
I have
under
that
arrest.
right. So real quick, your thoughts?
Well, actually, it's funny. The way you phrased the question, I feel like my thoughts are somewhat similar to yours. I actually sent a note apologizing to this guy, Dan Black, on behalf of the county for what he had to put up with. Turns out we have this thing called the First Amendment. It's okay to state your opinion. But the notion that somebody just shook his head, apparently the wrong way, to the sheriff and has to be met by 6 deputies and 2 canines, like 2 deputies wasn't going to be enough. It's just ridiculous.
One was enough.
But none of them were necessary. He didn't do anything wrong. And the thing is, you know, we say all the time, I say all the time, to hold all of us in elected office accountable, not just for what we say, but for what we do. You know, the choices we make are about resources that aren't mine, they're yours. And I take that seriously. And in public safety, you know, I think the bar is even higher. It's not a game, you know, it's not a toy. When you pull 6 deputies and 2 canine units to meet somebody who looked at you the wrong way at the gate at the airport, those deputies are coming from another position.
Yes.
And they're not free. You know, when you have them putting up a snow fence around Sherman Park, or threatening to arrest other county workers, you know, this doesn't make us safer. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. My concerns about the sheriff had nothing to do with politics or personality. It's not because I dislike anybody. It's because I'm passionate about the county I love, and I know we can do better. And one of the things I worry about is we've had a lot of stories about the sheriff, and I think we almost get used to them when we start thinking this is normal. It's not normal.
Right,
Let's
right.
never think we don't deserve better. We do.
All right, and on that note, I just want to thank you for coming by. It is always a pleasure, and we appreciate you using this platform to inform all of our viewers.
Always. I'm a big fan of your next guest, too.
All right, good stuff. And when we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we will meet that newly elected state representative who County Executive Chris Abele happens to like. He just asked Governor Scott Walker to remove Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke from office. We'll talk to Representative David Crowley right after this.